And I've probably seen, what, maybe 100 different people wearing this on social media and styling it in different ways. And there wasn't one time when I was like,
Hey, this actually kind of looks cool. Like I can see where they're going with this.
it just looked cheap in every single picture. Hey guys, my name is G.P.S. and welcome back to my channel. 2020 is slowly coming to an end, so I thought it's about time we sit down and reflect on some of the luxury launches of the past year. And why not start with, how do I put this? Perhaps the most questionable launches is one way of putting it of 2020. So today we'll be looking at pieces that either launched this year or pieces that were popular all throughout the year that I personally wasn't the biggest fan of. So if you want to see, let's be honest, in my opinion, the worst launches of 2020 from brands like Louis Vuitton, Chanel, and Hermes, then please keep on watching. So to make the video a little bit more structured, I decided to look at some of the biggest categories in luxury fashion, so shoes, SLG, bags, ready-to-wear, etc. And I tried to pinpoint the worst offender in each category. But before we get into the video, I would like to make a quick disclaimer. If you own or if you're lusting over any one of these pieces, then by all means go ahead and enjoy them. These are just my thoughts and opinions. It's perfectly fine for each one of us to like something different and for each one of us to enjoy different pieces from different brands. If you happen to like any one of these pieces or if you own them, then let us know your experience and your thoughts in the comment section. There is nothing wrong with enjoying different things. But without further ado, let's jump into it and probably start with one of the worst launches of the year. I mean, I don't understand why anyone would buy this. And it is a jacket from the Louis Vuitton and Nigo collaboration that came out earlier this year. In case you're not familiar with Nigo, he is a Japanese artist and streetwear designer whose regular line I actually quite like. I mean, there is really not much to them, but his use of font and graphics is quite interesting, and I do enjoy his regular pieces. But I really have no idea how Louis Vuitton approved any of these pieces from the collaboration when it comes to ready to wear. I think the bags and SLGs were actually quite nice. It really fit into the direction that Louis Vuitton is trying to go into, but his clothing was just a hot mess. One piece was worse and more inelegant than the other. It was actually quite hard for me to choose one piece until I rediscovered this, because for a month you couldn't go on social media without finding at least one or two people wearing this on the recommended feed. This was all the craze and, in my opinion, probably the cheapest looking piece in the entire collection, which is this patchwork denim jacket that is made of the Louis Vuitton damier and Louis Vuitton monogram prints. Now, personally, I'm not the biggest fan of the damier fabric. I find that it is quite a difficult print to pull off, mainly because of all the fakes and replicas out there that utilize this fabric. I think it has become an overly cheapened print over the years. But Louis Vuitton decided to roll with it, which in my opinion is quite risky. And I could appreciate that, but they made it look even more cheap, if that was even possible, because they decided to blow up the print, make it gigantic. But if that wasn't enough to let everyone know that you're wearing Louis Vuitton, they paired it with the Louis Vuitton monogram print, and this whole jacket was in this really heavily stone-washed denim fabric, which just made it look faded and even more tacky than if it was in just a regular fabric. And they decided to marry the two fabrics with this sort of wavy seam in the back, which actually could have been a great idea, but with the Louis Vuitton monogram and then the damier together, it was just an absolute disaster. I mean, this is the piece that if you had showed me a picture of this at the beginning of 2020 and asked me if this, my opinion, is a Louis Vuitton piece or if this is fake, I would have bet you $1,000 that this cannot be real, it has to be fake, because there is just no way that Louis Vuitton would allow the launch of something like this. And then if you showed me a picture of this on the Louis Vuitton website, I would have told you that someone had hacked into the website and they are pranking people, because there's just no chance that something like this would launch under Louis Vuitton. But it did. I don't know how, but it did. I feel like I'm being really harsh on this piece, but it's because this is from Louis Vuitton. If this launched from someone like Supreme, maybe even Dior, or one of the more independent luxury houses, I would have been like,
fine, it's a little flashy, it's not my taste, but it is what it is.
But for Louis Vuitton to launch something like this, Louis Vuitton, who claims to be this exclusive heritage luxury maison, for them to come out with something like this, I just cannot wrap my head around it. It's just inelegant, it's cheap, it's flashy. I don't think this is what the Louis Vuitton house is all about, although I might be wrong. And I've probably seen, maybe 100 different people wearing this on social media and styling it in different ways. And there wasn't one time when I was like,
hey, this actually kind of looks cool, like I can see where they're going with this.
It just looked cheap in every single picture. So that's my thoughts on the Louis Vuitton denim jacket. Let me know what you guys think. Let's move on to shoes. And the worst launch when it comes to shoes this year is actually from a brand that I really, really like when it comes to shoes. Their sneakers have to be my favorite by far. I've never bought, or I don't even think I've ever seen a pair of sneakers from them that I just couldn't stand behind. But these sneakers from Chanel were just hideous. So Chanel launched earlier this year this braided sort of macrame pair of sneakers, which is actually a style that I have in my collection, but the one that I own is just in some pretty basic sort of black neoprene fabric with white Chanel branding. It's at this point falling apart. I wore it so much because Chanel sneakers tend to be really comfortable compared to other designer sneakers. They're usually quite elegant and you can dress them up or dress them down. There really isn't any outfit they wouldn't go with unless you want to wear a tuxedo. And this is the exact same style that I own, but I have no idea what Chanel was thinking, because I don't think anyone should wear macrame above the maybe age of 2. I don't think it's an acceptable look. But to make shoes out of this braided macrame fabric is just hideous. It kind of looks like Chanel created a little sculpture or statue out of spaghetti, and the spaghetti got wet and now it's kind of drooping and melting away. It's just not a cute look. Or maybe it's the kind of thing that you could pick up from a Christmas market, one of those like hand braided things, and someone made it who loves Chanel. It definitely doesn't look like something that was created by people who cultivate luxury fashion, especially when you see the price. These sneakers were $1,525, which just makes it even more ridiculous. If these were kind of like a cute fun take on Chanel sneakers that Chanel was selling for, I don't know, $500, I would be like, okay, fine, if you want to do it, do it. But to try to make this into a fashion statement and increase the price and try to make this into this cool, hard to get, collectible piece is just absolutely ridiculous. And then it was available in 2 different colorways. It came in this rainbow color and then also in more like a beigey taupey color combination. I mean, both of them were a disaster, but if I had to choose, of course, I would say that the rainbow one was even worse. So I really hope no one bought it. Maybe if there was Coachella this year, I could have seen that being worn there for just maybe a day or 2, and then that could have been the end of them. But for Chanel to try to sell these to us at an increased price as some sort of fashion-forward take on sneakers, I mean, I really hope none of you guys wasted your money on these. Next up, let's talk about small leather goods. And the piece that I ended up choosing for this category is not necessarily the worst, but it has to be the laziest. And it is the new Cali pocket belt from Hermes that was introduced just a couple of months ago at a presentation in Shanghai, which I have an entire video on. So in case you have not seen that, make sure to have that linked up here. And this belt essentially consists of 2 separate pieces. The base of this is the Cali belt, which is a piece that I absolutely adore. It's been a part of my collection for, I think, the past 4 years, and it was obviously inspired by the Cali twist closure. And the whole selling point behind this belt is that it's a one-size-fits-all. because it features this really clever mechanism in the back that allows you to adjust it, make it into a regular belt that you can wear in your jeans or in your trousers. You can make it smaller so you can also put it over a dress or over a blazer around your hips or your waist. So you can play around with it and make it work as so many different things. You can even turn it into a back strap. So I love that Hermes is playing around with this and trying to make it into more of an accessory or an SLG rather than just leaving it as it is, a belt, because it has the potential to become something more. But the way Hermes approached it was not great. It definitely left me wanting more because they essentially paired the Cali belt, which is quite an elevated and interesting look, with the most plain and bland and just basic leather pouch that you can imagine. I mean, I can guarantee that you can go on Amazon and find 1,000 more ornate, more interesting looking leather envelopes than this. And for Hermes to launch this with a Cali belt is just insane. It doesn't look like a high-end piece. It kind of looks like something that you picked up from Home Depot or something that a car mechanic would wear, because it does look quite utilitarian, but that's where it stops. It's not something that you would want to make a fashion statement with, because if anything, this cheapens the overall look of the Cali belt. It definitely does not elevate it. So if you love the idea, which I personally do, then you can absolutely pick up a compact Cali wallet, a compact wallet in the Constance version. You can pick up a Cali pocket if you want to, and you can pair those with the Cali belt. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit more expensive to buy those pieces separate, but at least you'll have two beautiful and elegant pieces, things that you can use on their own, but also together. Whereas I highly doubt, first of all, that you would want to wear that belt out with that silly looking little pouch, or that you could ever use that pouch on its own, because it's just so basic. I mean, you don't need to go to Hermes to buy something like that. So, in my opinion, this was just lazy for Hermes to do that. I think if they were going to do this, they should have done a much better job. And I understand that they didn't want to pair two Cali pieces together. They perhaps felt that it would have been a little bit too much. But to choose this pouch with that snap closure on it, I mean, it's something that maybe you would give to a kid who goes to kindergarten and they need something to put their, I don't know, subway card in. But to make this into a fashion statement and to sell this for over 1,000 euros, I mean, I really don't know what they were thinking. Next up, let's move on to the worst back charm that launched this year. And I would love to know if you guys can guess which back charm I chose as the worst one. If you've been watching my channel for a while, I don't think it's going to be a difficult guess, but do let me know in the comment section, because this was really a no-brainer for me. And the one that I had to choose is the Oran Nano back charms from Hermes, which was just sort of the most unreal launch from Hermes. It just kind of sounds weird even saying it out loud. The Hermes launched a back charm that costs $600 that was inspired by one of their slippers. I personally don't have any problems with the Oran sandals. I think there's definitely a time and a place for them, but they're not that unique that they need to inspire a back charm, especially one that costs nearly as much as the real deal. And I think I mentioned this in the video where I first talked about these, that the back charms kind of remind me of those old school, really inexpensive and cheap looking sort of fridge magnets that you can pick up the typical beachy tourist destinations. I remember going to Italy as a child, and there would be these bodegas on the beach that would just sell, you know, merch and things that you need at the beach. So like inexpensive slippers, sunscreen, towels, etc. And then some of them would also sell fridge magnets. And you could find these flip-flop inspired fridge magnets. Some of them had the name of the city where you got them from, some of them didn't. But that is exactly what they remind me of, which I don't think is quite the look that Hermes was going for. But in case you love the look, they're available in Epsom, they come in Lizard. You can also get them in Tone on Tone. They come in the So Pink edition, which you would think makes them look better, but it really doesn't. It just kind of makes them look like you put your Barbie shoes onto your bag. I just can't wrap my head around the idea. I mean, who thought this would be a good idea to take a pair of slippers and then replicate a miniaturized version of it as a back charm, it just sounds insane to even say it out loud. And I really don't understand why anyone would want to have that as a look. Why would anyone want to put a slipper that's $600 on a $10,000 bag? It does not make much sense to me, but I guess some people feel the same way about rodeos. So, in case you're not a fan of the rodeos and you've been telling me that you're not, I guess now I can have a better understanding of where you're coming from. So thank you for that, Hermes. Okay, and last but not least, let's talk about, in my opinion, the worst bag launch of the year, which is technically a relaunch. And I know that there are many people out there who love this bag. Many of you guys have told me that you have this bag and you enjoy it, which I'm really, really happy for you. But in my opinion, this is just a bag launch that, while it deserves an A for effort, probably an F for execution, because it's just a bag that I cannot get on board with. The more I see it, the more I dislike it. And it is the Cali Danse. If you've never seen the Cali Danse before, it's a bag that was around, I think, a long, long time ago at Hermes, and then they decided to reissue it late last year, early this year, and it's been really, really popular. Mainly because of the fact that Hermes promises you that you can use this bag as so many different things. It should work as a backpack, it should work as a belt bag, a crossbody bag, a shoulder bag, or a clutch, or even as a pouch bag on its own. Because the bag itself is rather simple. It's just this overly simplified boxy square design that comes with a completely removable longer strap that you can twist and turn it into all these different things. And while I love the design and the concept of this bag, I can almost see all the different thoughts that were going on in the design room when they were coming up with this bag, because you can almost see how it was stretched and then shrunk and then stretched and then shrunk. This is the typical example of Hermes spreading a design way too thin, because they wanted to make it work as so many different things that they couldn't create something that works and does one thing well. I wish they had just committed to a bag and a design that maybe does one or two things, but it does it really well and in an elegant manner. Because the proportions of this bag, I think, only work on a really small group of people. The proportions just look a little bit off because it's so kind of square and sharp that it's really, really difficult to make it work. You can use it as a backpack or as a belt bag, yet as a backpack it's way too small, but as a belt bag it's way too large and overwhelming. You should be able to use it as a shoulder bag, but under your shoulder it just kind of disappears because it's so short and kind of chubby. You should be able to use it as a crossbody bag, but the way you adjust and attach the shoulder strap to it means that when you put it on crossbody, the bag is going to tilt forward and it just kind of looks strange and almost DIY. And then as a clutch bag, it would be quite uncomfortable to hold because it almost has this kind of triangle characteristic to it, which reminds me of a takeout bag. If you remember the old school grocery bags that they used to give out, those paper bags that nowadays they use for takeouts, that's exactly what they remind me of. So unless you're going to use this to carry your takeout, I personally wouldn't waste money on it. I understand and I appreciate all the different functions that it can serve, but I wish it served those functions better than it does. And in my personal opinion, I would much rather just save up my money and buy myself maybe two bags, perhaps a Cali that does one thing well, and then maybe a more casual bag that I can turn and twist to make it work as different things. So maybe a Cali and a mini Evelyn could be a better choice in my opinion. If you love it, enjoy it, but in my opinion, it's definitely not one of Hermes' best creations. And this is it, guys. This completes today's video on the worst launches of 2020. I would love to know what you guys think about these pieces. Do you agree with me? Are you not a fan of these either? And I would also love to know what do you think the worst launches are of the year. And please let me know if you'd be interested in me doing the same video on the best pieces of 2020. I have already done a video of the best pieces and the most used pieces in my collection, which you can check out here. But if you'd want to see a video on just launches in general, then I'd be happy to do that. And if you enjoyed this video, then please make sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.